pick up where I left off on lighting of the lamps in our story and what's becoming quite a neat little journey together. What a beautiful thing. Before I start where I left off, I just would like to add something that our Heavenly Father was impressing upon me about just the last minute. I was thinking about that big beautiful black man that was sitting next to me on that train ride heading over to Austin so I could meet Millie and the crew. And the old black woman that I was led to say bless you, and she gave me a smile and then came right up to me in the train, is the one that gave me that fruit, whom I never would take food, especially considering everything that was going on. But it's like I knew these people forever. It's like I'd always known them. It was amazing. Anyway, so my point is when I brought that bag of fruit back, when she just right by the hand took me right down to the where the bathrooms are, where the luggage is stored on Amtrak, and just dug around in her bag and pulled out two big like freezer, Ziploc bags of cut and quartered in little cubes, some really good nice fruit, watermelon and cantaloupe, and it was really good. So I accepted it, and then offered that big black brother, that angel. I know for a fact he is now, for a fact he was an angel. Even then I was kind of new, and I offered him some, and he said no. And when he said no, I thought to myself, well, then this something's, just like the Laotian, with the guy I gave the soup to. There's no way, this guy has ties to the community, and he was small beefing with this guy about some stuff, so he couldn't be an angel. But it's the Lord uses it's amazing. So I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe this is just a really, because he's refusing what I'm offering him, and I expected him just to, and it almost kind of offended me in a way. But there was a lesson to be learned here, at least for me anyway, and it will play into what I'm about to bring up here in a second. But then he turned and looked at me and said, he said, yeah, I think I will have some of that fruit. Because he, of course, I know now whether he was paying attention or not, he knew that other angel woman that came and got me, that elderly black woman. And he was teaching me a lesson about when I was a kid and I was running the streets, very troubled and hungry a lot. Extremely hungry, wishing I had a box of ramen. Pun intended. And I would be at certain friends' house, and their parents would sometimes prepare dinner early because they knew that I would leave right around the time that they were fixing to eat dinner, and so friends had to leave. And some of the parents were just like, it was just better that you go anyway. They didn't care. But I had a few friends where their parents were even starting to prepare dinner early and offer for me to stay, because I would find ways to get out of there before, because I never wanted, looking back now, I never wanted to be asked if I wanted something, because I didn't deserve anything, especially food. Which I'll bring up another point. When I was, like I said, when I was in Sherman Brisky Boys Ranch, my aunt Nita, the one I just went and visited, sent me a bunch of candy for my birthday and licorice, and I couldn't even eat it. I was choking on the tears because I didn't deserve it. I gave all that away, and I still do this. Well, I stopped doing that about 5 years ago, but I did that and I didn't understand why I would self-sabotage. Didn't think I deserved anything good, so I never pursued anything good. So these friends, parents of mine, wanted to feed me, but knew that I would deny or turn down food, almost like a wild animal. You have to kind of gain its trust. And so the Lord was using that to teach me a very valuable lesson that He just completely synced together after all this time. Is that it's really important, people. It really is that if somebody offers you something and they're doing it out of the kindness of their heart, and even though you don't know, and it's something you need, and your heart's in the right spot, and you don't do it because you don't feel worthy, and you may not even realize that you don't feel worthy. But let me introduce the other side of that rejected blessing, is that those people, just like those friends of mine, their family, they were hurt, and I didn't know it. They knew I was hurt, and I didn't know how to ask for help. So they advised ways, like some other blessings I'm going to teach you, just like the apple pie and the butter tab, and all these little learning lessons, these opportunities for me to learn, and then pass what I've learned along. Of course, I can't pass seeds that don't come from real good fruit. At least the spirit of the fruits of the Spirit are love, patience, kindness, and long suffering. I didn't even know what that was, and that's and I do now. And it's patience, and it's so these people, they were also being hurt, and I didn't even realize that I was offending these people, and they didn't show it, and it probably didn't really wreck them, I'm sure. But they knew I was hungry. They were offering me food, and then after a while, you got to go, well, maybe there's something wrong with us. So just remember that if somebody offers you something and you're led to just it might serve you both justice to accept it, and I think that's how the Lord is wanting us to. Because if you anyway, the way I think about it, I was going to say if you think about it, because I don't know if you think about it at all, but if the way I think about it is, if everybody, and this is kind of a simple analogy, but it's the kind of pay it forward type thing, but if everybody was helping somebody else out, even just in the most smallest way, you might think, just, buying somebody a gift certificate for some groceries or something, whatever, just a small example. If we all just did that for just one person, if everybody did that for, like Millie said, just the person standing right next to him, do you know, nobody would be going hungry. And we all, because we're all gifted in different areas, we would all, the tire man would be hooking us up with tires, and the alignment guy would be, everybody would be, it would be capitalism. I believe that's what that's called, right? Because I really don't know. I love history, and I learn a lot of history just out of just spiritual wisdom. But it's almost like I lived a part of a lot of stuff. I love Native Americans, love old structures and Celtic stuff, and I just love or like anything that reeks of plumb true history. Like all the Mayan structures and the Native Americans, just all of that has always fascinated me. I admire how conservative and mindful and respectful they were to the earth. And boy, if we would have just worked things out a little different. But here, this woulda, coulda, shoulda stuff, get you caught on that, or this way, chasing that dragon tail. But anyway, that's what I have to say about that. Anyway, Forrest running as he does. I if somebody offers you something, you know, you might be doing them more of a service than even yourself. But a lot of times it's gonna hook you both will be winning in the end, because the end is really just the beginning. So now back to where was I? So I was out of. I went to. That's right. I moved to Forest, Cedar Rapids Towing. That's right, Cedar Rapids. Which, like I said, I ended up making a full circle there. But started getting running amok, and he had just got married to. Teresa. That's right. That's right. He'd just gotten married to Teresa. And so, and I was starting to get into trouble, and I couldn't blame her for not wanting me around. And my bro, he'd put up with a lot of stuff, and even though his life he was getting his life extremely in order, which going to the military in this case, I'll have to agree with using the military as a forms of detox and a real kind of unorthodox way of getting treatment, and having the Uncle Sam pick up the tab, because quite frankly I admire my brother Ted, and I like I said, and before I go with Uncle Ted, I just want you to know, baby girl, listen, I don't sit in the Arabian, horse roca. That's not where that that's not where that when I go to the songs, Police and Desert Rose, there's a list of them that come up, and I just go, and when I'm led to just I don't sit and preview them. I don't do that. But I'm extremely well. Once I see what's the correlation of the intricacy of all this blending that's taking place, sometimes I do go back, and so I'll use them again, like just a bunch of them, but I won't use them. It might seem like I do. I won't post them. But I'll listen to them and watch them, because I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And then I'll see something else, and I'm like, whoa, that's wow. And I just cry out to my heavenly King, because honestly, just like the book and my whole life, it's like, wow, the Lord has definitely he's got a plan for all of us. Just like my friend Ineti that I got on Facebook. He's Brazilian. I met him on my trip up. And I won't forget about the picking up Cedar Rapids Towing and getting moving with the story. But these things happen. But I met him on my way up from seeing Millie and Axel Grease down there in Austin. And I took a bus down. I flew down the second time, and then took train down the first time, and took a bus on the way up, and met a bunch of really neat people. And one was Ineti. He's from Brazil, and it just blew him away that I bought him. He's like, oh my gosh, brother, you saved my life. Here, let me give you a little money. Yeah, his wallet was this thick, full of his Brazilian money, and I don't know the exchange in the different currencies, but I'm almost certain, because he was going to his friends in Silicon City there, in the valley there, in California, and he was loaded, and I gave it to someone else on the trip, but he just thought that was something else that I bought him when we stopped for a little layover there, and I don't know, I think maybe it might have been El Paso. I don't know, somewhere up there. Anyway, and I was like, dude, this is no big deal. I would do this for anybody. And you, I happen to like. He was really a neat guy. Excuse me, I'm trying to make sure this thing is still running. So I gave that neat Brazilian money to somebody else. And ended up coming back. But I was kind of ticked off. I was a little ticked off, but I got over it. You know, the Lord is that's another, you know, that long suffering, one of the fruits of the Spirit, and the Lord has definitely been helping me with that. That's been the bane of my existence, patience. I'll tell you that right now. So I've just seen so much being patient, so much more than I would have missed. And so anyway, now so back to Cedar Rapids. I'm in trouble. Teresa, my brother Forrest's new wife, couldn't have me around. Of course, he didn't have the heart to tell me to leave, and I wasn't bringing any dirt over to the house. It's just my lifestyle wasn't, you know, it just even the residue just reeked of, you know, me even being there. It wasn't healthy even for their new baby, for Bug Forrest, little Forrest, we call him Bug. Turned in, he's a beautiful young man. Some of you that are on, go to my Facebook, you'll see him playing the game there when a picture of me in my Carhartt jacket. That's Bug on the left. Forrest's son, good kid, good, damn good kid. But yeah, so I ended up doing Bergs, like I said, started doing a bunch of stuff with, oh, that's right, I forgot. I had already been past that. I'm up to Tommy, where me and Tommy, I grabbed the glass. My fingerprints were on it. Of course, they had my fingerprints in the database. So they were looking for me. Everybody's saying, "Hey, man, you know, they're looking for you." And I didn't know, you know, which one. I had been doing all kinds of dirt. Like I said, I had just done a couple right there on the lake, a couple burglaries right there on the lake, right by Ruth Dykeman. And so they were looking for me, and I moved down to Grand Mound and got a job there, the Little Red Barn, right off the freeway, I-5 there, with Tammy and with Tammy and their new roommate, Tammy, who was going to soon be the mother of Roy Donald Steen IV, my son, who's, I believe, still sitting out here, unless he's already went to go run a few errands. And so her and I are kind of dating one another. I soon quit my job because I really never really got fired for much, unless it was just for, you know, spinning out on someone and acting a fool, because I had a little guy's complex, you know. So, and plus I was damaged. I wasn't wired. I had a lot of loose wires that were crossed, and unnecessary fires that, from just, you know, just a warped perception of reality. So me much better now, much better. Thank the good Lord and clinicians and slash angels like Christopher Franklin. And boy, I know it's going to be amazing when I finally get to that part of the story. I know he'll hear this. He'll go, I know this story, Roy. I know it well. But I didn't know that part. So, cops are looking for me. I'm starting to do dirt down there. Now, Tammy and Ron, my brother Scrap, a.k.a. Scrappy, we're doing dirt, and they have They had the baby now. They had Anthony. Little tone loc, I called him. I used to let him lay on my chest right here, and he would go to sleep. And Tammy did not like that. I don't know. It was probably just because it was her first baby. And I don't know. We got along fine. It's just I could just tell she was like, I'll take him now, but he's like my little boy. So remember that, boy. When you see this, that I'd like to come see you, because what you've been told is not what's going down. You know what I mean? And I think you know that already. What are the odds that you were on a dating site while I was in prison unlawfully? What are the odds, Anthony and Andrew, if you're listening, that you were going to hook up with my daughter who is on a dating app, and my daughter had to say, hey, is your dad so-and-so? Now, what are the odds of that? I mean, seriously, what are the odds? Of course, they didn't go out on a date, but you can't make that up. So, here I am. I'm wanted by the law, me and Tammy, not Tammy Rector, the one that passed, my beloved sister. Like I said, don't put off tomorrow what you can do today. I mean, some things are, you got to be patient, but I mean, I went right by that exit so many times, and I had told her, and I meant well, just like I told my kids, I swear I'm getting my crap together tomorrow. I swear I'm going to get my crap together. And I meant I was getting my crap together tomorrow, but I just didn't have the tools it took to get my crap together. So even though I really wanted to, about 3 days is all I would make it. But they know my heart. That's why they're here right now, That's why they're here right now. So, death, where is your sting? Right, people? So she says, hey, Tammy, this Tammy Garrow, she's native, part native. My son's native. You can't make this stuff up. I didn't pick her, right? It just happened this way. Although I have, my picker has been, now my picker is known to be smooth, broke right off. But I won't get too far ahead. But in this instance, I believe that this was a divine, dysfunctional union for the short time that it was. So we're heading down to, she goes, I know people, I got family in Athens. And my friend Jade Baker, and Ron's friend down in, right down Napavine, right out of Chehalis. He's like, and my dad lives in Abilene. And I'm like, oh, great, all right, well, we'll go down there. Now, they're not wanted. None of these people are wanted. So it's me, Jade, his girlfriend, Tammy, and Jade's little brother. My brother gives me the LeBaron. And he just says, pay me when you can. Just get the hell out of here, because they're looking for you, bro. And so we head on down there. And that's when, and I'm not trying, I love you, baby, but that's when I knocked... for lack of a better term, I knocked up Tammy there very discreetly, because we were staying in a motel just to get off the road there in Salt Lake City, where we were heading on our way to Abilene, to Jade's dad's house. And I know that because she told me, she says, I felt that when I got pregnant. She says, I felt when I got pregnant instantly. She said, I felt instantly. And I was like, how's that possible? She's like, well, I know, because I had a child before. And I said, you have? Who? Where is he? She says, well, his name's Justin. And they talked me into giving him up. And I said, giving him up? Who would give up their child? But then, my mind scurried right on back to the time my mom walked me in there and handed me over to to the Saint Emporium there, 1211 East Alder, where yeah. So we leave from Salt Lake City. We get pulled over in, I think, New Mexico. That's why I mentioned when you, Millie, I believe it was, said, yeah, and then I think you said later something about Colorado. I was like, yeah, I believe I've been to Colorado, and if I have, I just don't remember, because I don't know if we actually went through there or not. But I do believe we went through New Mexico, because we got pulled over by, I don't know if it was a state, or I don't know who it was. They pulled us over just to let me know that the muffler was hanging. And then I noticed he really wanted to get a good look. Didn't ask anybody for their ID to see if anybody was, I kind of gathered later on, if they were Mexicans. So I found a farmhouse, and they weren't happy to see us. You know, I think we might have been Yankees at this point. I don't know if we were far down enough. I don't know my geology, if that's what it is. I don't know where the Dixon line would be cutting across there. But anyway, they didn't want to see us, and I said, look, the sooner I don't want to be on the road. Start a fire with this muffler, flies off, it's hot. The sooner, if you could just give me a hanger, please. If you could just give me a wire hanger, I'll wire it up, and I'll be on my way. And he was happy to do that, and I was out of there quick. I burnt the crap out of myself getting that up there, but I wanted to get out of there too, because I assumed I had a warrant. They were definitely looking for me, that's for sure. So we get to Abilene. We get to Jade's dad's house, and Jade's uncle, because his dad lives in a small trailer, so his uncle lets us stay right in the city at one of his houses that he's refurbishing, right kitty corner from a Taco Bueno. That's all I know about Taco Bueno. And what really fascinated me about this Taco Bueno down here is that all the fixins that they let you, it reminded me of like a Bilderberger, like Dags or Herfy's back in White Center. They had where you could just pile up your stuff. And they did away with that because people, they abuse everything that excuse me guys, sorry about that, people abuse everything, and that's why we got to have rules. Of course, we don't want to get into where those go, because those get abused too. They'll get you going up one side and down the other. But anyway, so that's why we got to have rules. And but I was fascinated on and when we would go eat there, I was enamored on, wow, this is all. They would never let this go where this stuff wouldn't be here. They have a hard time keeping all the chili and cheese in the dispenser, which I would never eat anymore. When they seen us coming in and you get, a chili and cheese hot dog and you're starving, you got enough for that. And so you put your hot dog on the bun and you use your aluminum deal and you fill that up half with cheese and the other half with that nasty chili. And then you go pay for it, and they can't do nothing. They're just looking at you like, oh gosh. So yeah, they would never have nothing like that. That stuff would be gone. But there it was. And it's not that there was I remember there was kind of, pardon the term, but again, for a lack of a better term, and knocked her up. I mean, that was kind of, I didn't mean to be rude. I pray for her all the time. But I'll get to that. It's just, and I've tried the whole time to keep her a part of his life, but she was living a kind of lifestyle that I myself had a plank in my own eye, but the Lord seen to it that he was better off with me. And when I fill you in on that part of this story, on that chapter, whew, talk about, uh, hold on, people. There we go. So, yeah. Anyway, Jade and I end up getting into an altercation, and I haven't paid any on the car, so I just told my brother, "Look, I'm going to leave the car with him." And Tammy says, "Let's just go down to my aunt's in Athens." So Jade's dad, knowing how Jade is and all that, and I said, "Okay, you got the car is yours." Then I didn't have to pay for it. And you want to make sure you pay Scrappy. Remember, we kind of discussed this. So, and it wouldn't matter. Yeah, he would have let me. It's just that I didn't want that. It was already had a bunch of miles on it, and so he was getting his wagon wheel fixed and his bread buttered on both sides, and he didn't even know it. His dad gives us a ride from Abilene to Athens, and the little brother, the Jade's brother, the dad's youngest, goes with us. And it took quite a few hours to get there. And we arrive, and things go somewhat well. And that's where I first heard that song, that achy breaky heart song. I can't stand that song. I cannot stand that song. These people would play it over and over again. And it reminded me of almost like this. It was like this being choked with some kind of a rosary. It just, the first thing that came to mind. So, and they over and over. That's the only reason, like Stairway to Heaven. You remember that back in the when you would have to, like I said last few segments, when top 40 songs actually had to be requested, right, by popular vote. Now those, what they think 12 years or so. But yeah, that thing just got wore out, and things kind of went south. We got our own place. I started to drink. It was a dry county, so we had to go all the way up to Caney, Corsicana area. And Tammy's aunt was a school teacher there, so she taught, and most of the class were black students that lived on what they called the other side of the tracks. And it was extremely poverty stricken, like everything that I would have imagined the South, a poverty stricken South to look like. This would be the illustration right here. There's no grass. It was dirty. Even though a lot of the yards were in they were in straight shape. They're just the trees with all that, I don't know what they call that here, the lichen or whatever it is that grows from the. So it had kind of an eerie, hot, muggy, and then of course the dogs that they would fight down there. They would just fight dogs like. And that was just the going thing down there. It just tore me up to see them dogs. But I didn't really know the Lord back then, so I didn't speak out. But even if I did, without having the right armor down there, you'd be gator bait, dog food. But make these dogs, and they were just infested mange, and it was the saddest thing, people. It was the saddest thing. It was just so sad. A friend of mine, I got in contact with, I've known for a while. He was bragging that, yeah, I raised dogs to fight. I'm doing real well. I'm driving a truck. And I said, you idiot, man. Don't ever tell me that again. I'm not even down with the sickness on that. They would have them dogs pull, block motors. And I've seen that before, but just for a short amount of time, and then, those dogs are sleeping in the bed with their owners, jumping for tires and just for show, and then they go back inside. They're like a trailer baby car. You only take it out once in a while. And, well, these dogs, no, they were kind of like I was. They were just thrown out on a chain and separated enough so they wouldn't kill each other until the right time, and all manged out. It was sad. The whole ground, the sand was writhing. There were so many fleas around them. It was so sad. And I made friends with a couple white fellas, probably a little younger than I. I'd say they were, they weren't, maybe a little younger, maybe the same age. I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, they had two girls that lived with them, and they lived in a little shack. It's like I got some St. Ives lithographs that depict some pretty rare ones about the South. Some what would be considered racial these days. But anyway, so it looked just like that, just all ramshackle. And they'd invite us over to drink natural ice. And like I said, we'd have to go out of the county to get it. And then once in a while, we'd buy it there at the bootleg house where they'd be playing dice and whatnot. And I started getting back into smoking coke, crack, and Tammy and I had gotten our own place. Now she was just starting to show, and I was running more and more over the tracks later and later at night, and going to the bootleg house. And of course, I went one night with a guy that was living in a trailer park. We were in a little, a duplex. An Asian couple lived on the left side, and we lived on the right side of it. And then there was a trailer park, and a bunch of Mexicans. I'd go over, and they'd play the guitar, and I'd sing, and it was pretty cool. And I met this white guy, this big old crazy fool, and him and I were smoking crack one night and drinking, and he wanted to get some crack, and I said, well, I can get some over the tracks. He says, well, I'm not going to the tracks, especially over the tracks at night. And I said, well, I'll go. And he said, well, you're not going with my money. And I said, well, they're not going to give it to me and bring it back to you. So he walks with me up. We lived all the way at the end of Athens. If you got some old photos, aerial photos, or just know the area, I lived right past, I think it was Winn-Dixie. Winn-Dixie was on the left if you were going, I think it was south. Because Kmart was up top when you first came into town. And that's where the tracks were. And like I said, we were living with Tammy's aunt, and because she was a school teacher, they got to all the kids also got to know me too. So that was also probably another reason why I was able to get out of there, even though the kids weren't there at 1 o'clock in the morning at the bootleg house. It probably helped me along with the good Lord. my guardian angel. So yeah, there was some contributing factors, but we walk up right past Winn-Dixie, and we end up kind of getting into a little altercation, and I realized that this guy here probably cleaned my clock, and I mean, I didn't know, but I mean, I had to. This guy was, you know, he was, and everybody always talked about how I probably shouldn't be drinking with the guy because, you know, it never ends up very well with this guy. And, but you know, smoking that rock, so we're kind of bickering a little bit, and he's, you know, of course, I'm not a big dude, so this guy, he's a big dude. He gives me his money. We finally get all the way up to one of the first entrance into the tracks, and he gives me his money, and I go in, I get this stuff, and I come back, and he's already asking me what's taking so long, and I had already pretty much ran in there, sweating like a slave in Debo's pigeon coop. I was, and I come back and he was inappreciative, this and that. Well, long and short, he ends up, I'm taking a puff, and I'm not trying to glorify anything, but he socks me in my throat. It takes I guess I was burning the pipe or whatever, which I never did that, and I'm not glorifying it, but I never did that kind of crap. He was just an ass, right? I mean, he put his hands on me, and that was it. So what I did is the neighbor's house, the old lady that we were, and I know it was an old lady because I'd walked that area, and he knew too, was right on that side of the tracks on the safe side. The old white lady that had hard of hearing, you ringed her doorbell, and she would actually, her lights would go on because she couldn't hear. And the kids would do work for her and stuff. Of course, I cut with my pocket knife her hose, and I wrapped it up, and I started whipping him with it. And he ran down the road, and he tried taking a couple swings at me, and I pasted him one really good time. And he couldn't get his hands on me, but I ended up, the passers-by called the police and arrested me for public intoxication and fighting, and there you could just pay, and this had happened to me before when I got arrested, and fishing, and the guy, the cop said, if there's no scales on that knife, boy, because I told him we were just fishing, and we just caught an alligator gar or whatever. This guy, they were just assholes down there. So I don't want to I'll go back to that, and I'll fill you in on that. So anyway, I'm I'm going to jail now. And he's not, but I am. I'm going to jail because I'm the Yankee, and I already hear him talking, and he gets in the car. You messed with the tush hog, and I didn't even know what a tush hog was until I got to the little county jail in Athens. Little tiny jail, stinky little stinks. Probably still reeks. I hope they clean their act up, or it's not looking good. So they arrest me. They tell me, because like I said before, with this alligator guard stuff, and having Tammy's aunt having to come get me out, was $50 a day. They would just take money. I kid you not. $50 a day. Now my fine was $300, so I had to stay 6 days. And yes, I did that math all by myself. So I didn't have the money. Tammy didn't even know. We didn't have a phone. She didn't know where I was at. This guy, he didn't go. Now he's mad at me. I'm sure he's got a big old black eye. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. So I'm in jail. I go to jail. I'm asking them for a phone call so I can at least. They're not giving me a phone call at all. The whole 6 days I'm in, I get not one shower, and I'm in with all blacks. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that matter. It was a beautiful thing because some of them knew me, and said, "Yeah, isn't your aunt the?" And I said, "Yeah, that's Tammy, my girlfriend's aunt." And so I sung songs like, "Oh, you can sing." So I would sing songs, and I got along so good with these people, and I found out that, I said, "Is this the way they always treat you guys? I mean, we get a little Jimmy Dean biscuit McMuffin, biscuit sausage dill. That's what you get. You get that for breakfast, lunch, and I think dinner is a little TV dinner. That's what you get. No phone call, no nothing. 6 days, I get out. I get out in 6 days. I forgot to add that I had my mom wanted me to have my brother Shane come down and stay with us. He was getting into some trouble at this time. And so now her wings, I guess, weren't broad enough, and her motherly spiritual wisdom wasn't inclined and sharp enough to, you know, chisel off the rough edges. You know what I mean? It kind of, she kind of blew it. Well, anyway, she sends him down there. My Asian neighbors go to get him. We all went up to Dallas. Going to Dallas to get him. Long drive up, long drive down. Well, anyway, so I'm in jail because of the Tush Hog thing. Tush Hog debacle. Treated completely like garbage, but these blacks, this is every day for them. I'm like, are you serious? And I'm the only white guy in there. No white guys ever came the whole 6 days. They let me out. No shower, like I said, no phone call, nothing, not one thing. I get out. Now Tammy has moved out already. She's pissed. She thought I left her or something. So she goes to stay with one of her friends that's down the road from her aunt's. And I think it's that right by the achy breaky heart person. The old lady, actually. And then she had brainwashed the old man to listen to it. And then they drink and listen to it. It was crazy. The craziest thing. It was almost like Ring My Bell on the Book of Eli. Which is, that pun was for Taco Bell. But I don't want to get nipped too early in the game. So I get out, she's gone, but there's holes, and the neighbors are like, "Man, your brother had a big old party here, and oh God, look, the owners are so mad." They were so pissed because I talked to them, and we were out of state and everything, and they were reluctant. They did not want to rent to us, and I told them, "Listen, man, I'm a clean freak," and that the neighbors even told them, "Yeah, no, this guy, he's." And they're like, "Okay, well, we just kind of, because they gave us a little trial run." Well, that was bad news. But anyway, so I ended up finding where Tammy was at. And my brother tells me he's staying in the trailer park with one of the Mexican families, Shane. And he's young, he's maybe 16 or 17 or so, or I don't know, maybe 15. But he says, "Bro, listen." I said, "Did you?" And he's like, "Man, we had a party and they just started kicking and that guy and he's looking for you, man. And I found out, bro, he's crazy. They say he's killed people, and they won't lock him up because he's somebody's kid of something in this little crooked ass little town. You better watch out, because he's looking for you, right?" And I says, "Well, piss on him," is what I said. And he go, "Oh, well, no, you messed his eye up." I said, "It was mutual combat. He socked me in my throat. He sucker punched me," right? And he's like, "Well, bro, I'm just letting you know I love you, man. And I'm probably going back up to Mom's here. I'm getting out of here. This place is a dump." I'm like, I know. You just hear the sound of water trickling down these swamp coolers. It's like music. It's like this disruptive music that you just hear, just trickle, trickle, trickle. You don't have a swamp cooler down there, you are through with money. So I end up finding Tammy and meeting, and I know now they were demons. Meeting these people family that was in they were part of city council, the mother and father, and they were demonic. They would do this witchcraft and shit like that. And they had one of them little, those little novelty shrunken heads that you get that can, you have to have it looked at to see if it's real or not. But most people don't care if it's a novelty; it still looks cool. No, these people were the real deal. Well, anyway, they knew that Donnie was a part native, and Tammy's had some really amazing, beautiful eyes, and I uh, was offered to be given a ride, Tammy and I both, to get out of Athens to move up to Ely with her mom. She's like, let's get out of Ely, Minnesota. Let's get out of here. Let's get skedaddling. Things are fixing to heat up down here, and they're hanging up. The keys are on the and excuse me. So the son of these witches, really, witch and warlock, really is what they were doing this community, probably some ritual. This place was so evil down in Athens that I could feel this. I could feel the evil. I didn't know. I didn't know that these. I knew I had gifts. I just didn't know what they were. I didn't know what they were for. And but I was sensing some stuff, man, and it was evil. Now it's evil up around here and that shit, like I said. But this, I don't know. It was just something. Maybe it was just because back then. But I was receiving it, and it was evil. Well, the son of these witch and warlock offered to give us a ride, and I didn't know that they had, bad intentions for the three of us. Tammy, little Donnie, and myself. But the kid, and I don't know his name, real tall kid, like almost as tall as, well, I won't say his name, but extremely tall. I like the analogy when I went to the Benjamin show. He real tall, and but there was something different about his eyes, And he had a little Geo Metro, and he kept saying, "Look, I'm telling you right now, I can get you guys all the way." I looked into it and he kept giving this amount of money, and that'll leave you plenty, because we only had so much money, and that'll leave you plenty of money. And then I'll drive back down here, and I thought, why would he do that, But I mean, some people, but it just didn't seem. But then things started to really get weird, like, and looking back now, I know it was Satan. And he did not want me and Tammy to leave with that baby. They didn't want us leaving it. It didn't want us leaving at all. Period. And her aunt, Tammy's aunt, I know she wasn't involved in this. Her and her husband, they had some, like, 3 children. They were good. They were good people. But this Athens was evil. Evil. It's like Ronnie James, evil. And I'm not talking about him per se, but the songs he sings are evil. Because that song went through my mind. Evil lady, evil in the night. Anyway, so, and again, and sometimes I'll use songs that I don't even really care for, because the Lord is having me. There's somebody that needs to either get salted or serenaded by them. So just remember, sweetie. So yeah, I was invited to a party at that little fighting mill of a house, that little shack. And we were all dancing around and singing, and the guy headbutts me, so I grabbed the back of his head and I headbutted him, and his nose started bleeding. He ran into the kitchen, and I heard the drawer shh. And I seen in my mind so I grabbed Tammy. I seen in my mind the drawer, and all this, and I could hear the knives hit the back of the drawer. And I knew he was grabbing a knife. I grabbed Tammy's hand and I started out the door. She's like, what? And she's like, oh crap. And his nose is bleeding. He's like, I'm going to skin you like a catfish, Yankee. And so I let go of Tammy's hand. She goes, just run. Because now both of them, him and his friend, the two are running towards me. And I'm running up the road. And I didn't want to leave Tammy, but I was going to be killed. And I knew that. And she knew that too. And they weren't after her. They weren't not at this point, right? So, and probably never had no intentions. So I'm running up the road, but I'm not wanting to go too far. I'm wanting to stay with Tammy, and she's hoofing it up, but she's pregnant, and it's hot, and it's the middle of the day actually. It's probably 2-3 o'clock. It's hot. It's hot. And so I'm trying to keep just far enough away, and they're running, and then when they see I'm running back, they'll stop, and yeah, that's what we thought. And then Tammy will, and tell your husband to come back, and but we're just common law at this point. That's what they considered that down there. So that's just what they said. Because that's what is going through my head, or I'm hearing it and playing it out in my mind, and just like in Crossroads. Remember I mentioned that with the little Karate Kid? It plays like that in my head. This truck, this old Ford truck, goes down the hill that now it's coming over. It's now passing me down this dirt road, and it's almost like everything just went. But the minute it passed me, this black truck just went black and white, and two old black men with this beautiful white as wool hair. They had hay in the back of the truck with a pitchfork in the back of the truck. And the truck goes and stops. And I get closer to the truck, and the old boy in the passenger side says, there's a pitchfork in the back, go get your girl. And so I grabbed that pitchfork and I start running towards them, and they turned around, they ran back, those two. And then Tammy, and then I got her, and then they let us ride a little ways, and then we got off. But they ended up coming, just one of those dudes, the one that I didn't headbutt, came to where we were staying while we were waiting for us to get a few more bucks together so we could get this other little satanic sissy to give us a ride. And I just didn't know at the time what was going on with him and his parents, and probably the whole damn city council. So they come, and he apologizes to me. This is like maybe 3 days later. And they apologize to me. The girl's driving the truck because he's drinking, and he was really nice. Too nice. And he says, yeah, me and so-and-so, the other dude that I did headbutt, are at the house. We got some ice cold beer and some weed we rolled up. And we're inviting you over as we want to have a little party and stuff. But I knew right away they wanted to kill me. That's what they wanted to do. And I knew that. See, because those people, some weird thing was going on in that town back then when it came to me and Tammy and what I was seeing. And it wasn't good. There was some weird going on. And so anyway, yeah, it's in my wallet. Yeah, go ahead, I guess. Unless you, pardon me, unless you can cash that check. So anyway, um, where was I at? So I apologize. So, but I knew there was something fishy going on, and I was like, no, no, man. I said no. I said no. Well, they were growing weed. They were growing they were growing weed down over the hillside, and they never told me where it was at, but I knew it was down over that hillside, and and there's a reason I said that. I never ripped off people I knew or liked ever. That was a kind of a code of mine. But after they left and I was about ready to leave, I went and found that shit. I came in from the back way, and I probably found it because the guy going in, he said when I water it, sometimes I forget where it's at, and I made sure I left with their stuff because I knew. But before I did leave with their stuff, I'm getting a little too far ahead of myself, and that might have sounded arrogant, but I needed to. These people were going to kill me, and to kill me, they were going to leave her alone. And this next segment I'm fixing to tell you, they wanted all of us. This was something also demonic, but on a different level. So now, kick those two clowns to the curb, never see them again. Gonna go get their weed right the day that I'm leaving. So I go over to their house, these Satanists' house, and I find out, I'm like, oh, I read this guy's mind. They're talking about my old lady's eyes. Pardon my French, she's not my old lady. Tammy. Maybe she'd get her, if she's even still alive, out of the tent in Yuba City. That crazy. Crazy what you don't get good solid mental health counseling because you're just on drugs and you won't. You just keep digging it deeper as you fall, right? So, I tried. I really did. I did. Even in my own madness, I tried constantly to get a hold of her. Hey, man, Donnie wants to know about you. He knew that Tantuana wasn't his. He knew. It's not his mom, you know. So, I was talking about eyes and stuff, and I'm like, what? I'm reading these fools' minds. I'm like, you want to cut out the eyes in the baby, and you want to do what? And native blood, and what the hell is... Am I reading this right? Am I going... Well, see, there's a difference when that Bobby that whisper that's audio out here of the air and of what's in here. And you know that still small voice. It's that faith call. It's that, kind of like that symbol almost. So, again, it's not the symbol itself, it's the way it's used. Ding, 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 you know. Just love to hammer away at that. And I didn't know why. I didn't even want it to hammer away at me. I was like, man, what are you doing? That ain't my wife. Come on, man. The Lord said, son. You know, and I'm thinking, okay, well, things do change. And he's like, yes, they do. But you keep trying to, man, Nineveh, boy, you wanted on this magic carpet ride, right? And I said, yes, sir. He said, okay, well, buckle up. And this isn't a Red Lotus. Oh, and by the way, you go on my Facebook and you look at that red pinto that I bought from the original owner when I was loaded with money back then. Praise the good Lord. And that blue Corona, the Corona that's right on the right-hand side of it. Take a good look at it. Or maybe it's the left, depends on your perspective. Right there. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. So, yeah, they wanted to kill us. Well, you know what happened to him? That dude, not even just hours later, when I finally got me and Tammy out of there, when I said, no, we need to go, and we need to go now. excuse me. He ended up flying through his windshield. Now, right when I said that, life's the same, moving in stereo. He did. He flew through his windshield. He ended up getting in a car wreck, and he flew through that Geo Metro. So we weren't going to be getting a ride with him, so we got on the bus the next day after I went and I swiped that weed, and I had a backpack of weed. Satan did not want us to leave because out of the blue, these cops come up and said, hey, we got a complaint that you and your spouse here are having issues. And I said, I didn't. And I looked at her, we're looking at her, we're like, well, you need to go back to where you got your complaint, because that's where the problem lies there within, is your complaint, because I don't know what you're talking about. She don't know what you're talking about. And I was praying. I was like, oh God, please don't let him ask me for my ID, because I figured that I had that warrant was up and running, and it should have been. But we ended up getting on the bus. We ended up making it to Duluth, and her old pastor gives us a ride from Duluth all the way to Ely. And I'm going to go ahead and cut it off at Ely, because there's so much that's going to take place up in that little Finlander town, which is that's a neat place. If it's anything like it was back then, people, if you want a really neat place to go visit, of course it gets cold. Ely, Minnesota, and there's a lot of bugs in the summer, but it's awesome. If you're a fisherman, Ely is the hit. It's awesome. It's the place to go visit. I had a ball while I was there, even though I was wanted by the law. So, love you guys. I'll pick up Ely, and yeah, I love you guys. And let's see if there might be something else. Because the Lord wanted me to write down the bees. That's right. He was talking about when I was on Tor Says. Tori has and thank you, Tori. God, thank you so much. And I might as well just go ahead and just start thanking people now. I might as well do that. But I went ahead and wrote down bees, because the Lord, when I was in Walla Walla, even before I got sent me away to teach me how to be right, logical. The Lord was telling me about bees, and again, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I raised some bees there on God's Way when I was in Happy Valley, when I was led to go to Shasta County in 2007. Actually in 2006 when I was in Maine, but I had to go make a quick tour through Shelton and McNeil, and then me and my son went down to Redding, and then up to just a bunch of really neat miracles. But just thank you, Tori. And I'm just going to go ahead and just thank everybody that I can think of right now off the top of my head, because the good Lord is just leading me to do that. So Diamond and Silk, they have been part of my life, whether they know it or not. And I know they know enough, and they're going to know the whole full meal deal eventually. But I just want them to know that I so admire your your loyalty, your bravery, your boldness, but also I really appreciated the time when you got in my butt, no pun intended, when you just let me have it, Diamond, when you said, what do you mean, Roy Steen? And I just started laughing, and I couldn't help to think that you were just ribbing me, but part of me wanted to think you were just you really were like, what are you laughing about? What's so funny, Roy Steen? And I felt like that you had known me forever, and that I had known you, and this scolding that I was getting, I so invited. It felt so good, because I sometimes are like, I'm on my wayward son. And that's a good song. Sometimes I find myself wayward, but not, like sexually or anything like that anymore. No, I trust my Heavenly Father, and I know He has somebody for me, and I believe I know who that is. But I get wayward, and I felt really good when I got scolded. It's like that false sense of love when that surrogate parent, that beast system that I used to go into for a local and annual or biannual checkup from the neck up, and then it would leave me, hearing chow time because I had no self-worth. So I don't want to get off too far off track, but I thank you so much, Diamond and Silk, for all that and you still do. 11:21 Eastern prayer time. Do you know that's been in my heart? And even though I don't always adhere to it because I'm just going and going and going, unlike some of them toy soldiers, they wind up and I had my leg in my lap, and hey, if that's what you need to create your identity, I understand. I use my trauma in my past to just show you that there is a God, and that, believe me, if He can use me and help me get through all this stuff, He can use and help you. It's not my fault Uncle Sam stuck it to you. What's he doing for you now? When I say you don't trust the government or the military, I'm not talking about the people that were brainwashed into, he said it, into service. Well, how do you think you're free? Well, listen. My dad, my biological father, I know all about it. Vietnam combat duty, combat tour. Right here, Alonzo, for those of you that know me, 2 tours, combat duty. Didn't even have to go. Little black guy, for those of you that know. Good friend of mine, love him. Just seen him the other day. He he tore me a new one. He chewed me out up one side and down the other. Love him because he is real. You see? He's real. Going to be bringing him some Christmas dinner because he's a hard nut to crack. And his daddy taught him about religion. And I won't go into detail. 2 tours. He knows how screwed up and the biggest lie that was. And I'm going to try to get him to tell you his story because I have no right to. I don't have that clearance. Although I do have the wisdom, the oversight. And then came back in his country here, in his state. Threw him in Walla Walla. 8-wing, as it were. Isn't that something? Met people that, I'm not even going to just, so Diamond and Silk, thank you. Thank you very much. Even Silk, Silk, without you, Diamond just wouldn't be, what's the hardest natural known substance to man? Huh? Well, my head, but a diamond. But I'll tell you, it's always wrapped up. A silk bow. I love you two so much. You two are so valuable to Sir Trump and the movement that we all believe has caught a blaze not only here in America, but across the board. So thank you so much. And look, all this gaslighting, racism and stuff, yeah, it might exist here and there, but I'm going to tell you, the Lord wants all of you to know, it ain't like they're telling you. They will not waste any dysfunctional brushstrokes. They're not going to do it. They never let a tragic situation go to waste. And we know that the Lord takes that which is and makes it as if it were. That's what He's about. He's about literally giving us the means to tack the ass of Satan, the devil. He sits on the tack when messing with us every day and counting. Why? Well, we have to. Why do you count? Because we have to. And those are the ones that we pray for. And those are the ones the Lord is allowing this senseless suffering, which is subsiding. The more people are starting to see people like us manifest miracles in our everyday life. Day in, day out. It can't do that, baby. It can't do that. And don't think it's arrogance. Because have you heard the first few chapters? Oh no. No, it knew. It knew exactly what it needed to strip from me. So what you might be hearing is a little delusional, grandiose, but that gets slapped up real quick. It's tea. And I want to share. You know what this cup says? You know what this says? This says, a marriage that follows God's plan takes more than a woman or a man. It needs a oneness that can be only from Christ. Marriage takes threefold cord, not easily broke. And just like crystal, it got thrown in there with a couple that were salt. Not for you, baby. Dreamweaver, Simple Man. And Simple Man can be used to salt and to serenade. It just depends. Hey, I'm simply passing mail. That's all I'm doing. I'm here for the ride too. And look, it's just as much fun for me. And I know, I understand. I'm working on it. But remember, all this crossfire, and then you gotta know, and sometimes we have to assure each other and remind each other, because here we're housed in this, just like Yeshua, he got tempted. But the difference is, we're surrounded by it, and we've been born of man in the most carnal sense. And so even though we have the Spirit, baby, we are really having to navigate. And that's why the Lord is blessing us so incredible and letting us and allowing us and all the people that are also seeing this see what we're seeing. So they'll tell someone else. It's that fluid. That's that truth of the plumb line. That's the fluid movement. That's the washing down of the bread. That's the other part of the not quenching out. And it's not about Bible thumping. And again, Tori, it's not about saying fuck. Because that's filthy and that's bad. And we do not want to teach our children that. No. It's a filthy habit. It is. But, there it is. There it is, right? Potty mouth. John Crapper. There it is. It's intent. And if once we realize and we're brought to that awareness, and I'm not talking about just awareness of, I know what I'm doing, isn't right? I'm talking about that we need to stop. Then and only then should you do that. So, and I'm not nobody. I can't. Look, the Lord's still, He is still doing things with my heart, and it's amazing. It's amazing. So I have, but you can see him. You can see it. It starts right here. You'll know. Just starts right here. At top to bottom. It starts somewhere. So Diamond and Silk, thank you. Sticks, Hex, and Hammer. Extremely. I heard this voice say, son, and I was like, there's no way. He's like, son, when you're put, and I said if, he says, when you're put in a position to make a decision like that, providing he would want that, you would want to put him and have him in a position of authority when it comes to making law here in this country. Sticks. That's right. Dragon tails. Go figure, right? But there's something about when he talks. I'm just real today, and I'm becoming exactly, who created us. And it's just we just jump online, and it's a process. And don't get tripped up. And I apologize. Oh, guys, the enemy this morning. Oh, people, the enemy. It knows the time for it short. But not only that, it knows that there's this union, this heavenly, divine, eternal, powerful, omnipotent union that is taking place, and it is just it's coming apart at the seams. And I'm talking, yes, you can see it. That's why it's using younger and younger vessels, which their free will. That's how they're able to receive these higher level demonic, sadistic, Jezebel spirits to serenade in the name of God. But you have to listen, and it's very seductive. You'll see they're seductresses, but they're demons. And you'll see it if you watch, if you look at the eyes. Especially, I think it was last night. I just went just for a quick, because I stay away from it. Like I said, I don't look into a lot of stuff. I don't sit and look at the videos, baby, and go, oh yeah, that one's got that. Oh, that's gonna. Come on, man. I've never been that way. That's like reading someone's mail. I wanted to make that very clear. That's just the way I'm cut. That's why the Lord is using people like us. Look, I've had some serious dysfunctional characteristic flaws. Okay, I got it. But even as a kid, my dad taught me well. And then my biological father, he'd been praying for me. The Lord knew what he was doing in my life, and he knows what he's doing in your life. The question is, are you going to allow him to continue to nurture you and prune you all the whole time wrestling and seeking him and being patient, yet acting boldly and stepping out when called? Because you have to do that too, baby. We have to step. That's where that fluid movement comes from. That's where that living waters is obtained. I didn't realize that when I was that Skiba, he does the Union Gospel Mission, not the Flat Earth Skiba. That living water, he gave me that book. And I don't necessarily agree with everything that it teaches there. At first, when I was reading it way back when, I didn't know, so I would read the footnotes type thing. But I don't even do that with this Catholic Bible. Of course, no, I don't do that. None of these. I don't read any of those footnotes right there. No, I have my own. I have my own discerner and I have my own spirit of discerning truth. And if I don't pick it up, I'm not led to. And I have faith, and I'm patient, and I wait. That's why I've waited for sex. And that's why I've waited. Because don't think that I haven't, again, I've burnt too. And that's why it says, before you and even your wife come together, pray so you're not, if you're burning, pray. Because it's a beautiful thing. When you do that, woo-wee, you want to talk about, oh man, floodgates. It's not even has nothing to do with a perverse thing. He made it special. But people, it becomes their God. Again, doesn't it make you wonder at all why he would do that? Love us so much to let us sample that. If he was such a, what did he say, a benevolent control freak, a genocidal, homicidal, what is it, sexist, homophobic. What did he say that? Huh? But yet he lets you experience this orgasm, and some people haven't. They think they have. Feeling because he's all that? To give you a taste of it, and then a few rules to follow so that you'll have a happy long life with your joined hair, the one you're going to live with forever, and multiply the mansions of our heavenly King's house. Oh, people, all this religion, stop. The Lord said, and He seen it was good, right? He said and He seen it was good. So if He said and He seen it was good, don't you think He would tell us if He unseen and unsaid it wasn't good and said, I've decided that what I seen now is kind of like my trip down there. I have to unsee a few things. I meant that, baby, because I needed to. It had me literally spinning. I only came down there because I was so and had fell in love with you and figured that Alex Jones's InfoWars was the platform that the Lord was going to have me use to introduce my heavenly King through lighting of the lamps and the introduction of lighting of the lamps, and then get my own platform started, but just kind of and then become, guests. But then I found out later on exactly what it was all about. I had no idea. I was along for the ride also. And I'm glad He chose me for the journey, because, sometimes I wonder why, but not so much anymore, because, I don't want to upset my heavenly King. It grieves Him when I deny Him. I call Him my provider, yet, I laugh at Him when I'm staring at everything He provided. I am mocking Him, and I call Him my protector, and yet I've watched Michael stand over me as I'm sharing fruit with Him, and then I mock Him by saying that, I'm scared to say this to her or to him, or to just, I'll just wait because the devil's here, or Satan, and I'll just wait because, it tried to get me upset, and I'll be off my game. No. I would have stopped on my way down to Austin the first time, when my head was spinning off my shoulders like a top, because it had cast so many spells on me and couldn't figure out why. I wasn't dead by the time I got to LA. Yeah. You know. They know. And counting is starting to know. And counting. And so that's why we do what we do. We do it first for our heavenly King. That's why I abstain from that beautiful thing called an orgasm between a husband and a wife. It's a beautiful thing. We spit in our Creator's face, and then they want to twist it up and say, He don't care. But that's the most beautiful example, one that's going to be with us for eternity, whether you like it or not. So as you guys worship it here, out of wedlock, as above, so below, we're already in like Flynn, you see. We own her. We are TikTok. We are those cogs that you see in there, all those spacely sprockets. I think not. It's like a beautiful Patek Philippe. I like Garoons. I'm simple. Awesome miracle story about a grunt. So, Hexenhammer, thank you very much. And I appreciate you, love you, and many, many more. I'm going to end up because, I never know where this is going to take me, although I do know where it's going to lead. Definitely a means to a peaceful end. Definitely a means. So, beloved, yeah, Die Hard, that was a good one. Real thin. Real thin. How'd you like Bodyguard? Did you see that pinto in the back, baby? Did you see that red pinto? When I seen that as a kid, man, I really needed to see that. I needed to see that program, that show, that movie. Oh, excuse me, pardon me. Old Linderman. Yeah, here's a carton of cigarettes. Merry Christmas, son. Yeah. Oh, I can identify with that. But that old Pinto that he got up and he looked when it was that crusher was getting it ready for the, which I used to work at one of them down in Tide Flats in Tampa. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. So I love you guys. That Pinto, Blue Corona, Facebook, check it out. Way back then, the Lord was even using his prophets to light the lamps of the unaware, the sleeping, even within myself. That's what this is about. It's not just about you people and here. It's that, like I said, there's no big I's or little U's. And this movement, I don't even want to say it, but this awakening is. Oh, and I pray for all of them. All of them. To get wrapped up in that web. They happen so fast, It was an illustration. It only takes, it seems like, just a second. Let me gaze on it. It's like she gazed on it. She seen it was good. She had to have been gazing on it because it came to her and says, huh. So she must have already been checking it out, It's not a sin to be tempted. You just don't let it conceive. Because when it gives birth to sin, and when the sin's full grown, it gives birth to death. There's an order of things, and in disorder. Like I said, I use that illustration. You know how many times I needed, because I didn't stop. Many times heading up to Washington with my candy, the Candyman can, and other stuff. I would stop off at Seven Feathers. I would fuel up. I only had to stop once, really, because I would pee in bottles. And again, I bring this up because if I was we need pee police. You don't throw them out the window. Why would you do that? Pee in the bottle. And then dump it when you get. Just don't pee in a green Gatorade bottle. Oh, and the Lord just gave this to me, so if you don't like what you get, return to sender. Stephen. Oh, Stephen. I miss Hopper. Stephen. When you said grab yourself a big mouth Gatorade bottle, Stephen. Instantly, Stephen. And I love you, brother. And I'm praying for you and your family, your wife. I always have. I love you, brother. Stephen. Has Gatorade ever made anything other than big mouth bottles? Sinner. Huh? Huh? Oh, Steven, you're so subtle. I love you, Steve. So anyway, 7 feathers, top it off, Oregon, so from Redding, 7 feathers, Bonnie Lake, Seattle, wherever I happen to be landing, sound man for Queensrÿche. Oh yes, but I must be cautious. Oh baby, we're becoming all that our heart has desired. Our Father is so awesome. So 10 hours, there I was. 7 feathers was my only stop, except once in a while I'd get me a couple burritos. Too early in the game. Bean, that's it. You know, the ones that are under the light, you know. And I'd have to stop off at Ashland. Love Ashland. Really like it. And there's an AM/PM going northbound on the left-hand side. You have to go get off the exit and then go over the bypass, the overpass, and then AM/PM's right there on your left. Just to barely make it into the bathroom, and then what? You have that out of order sign right there across the commode. You're like, it's like I said, things out of order are broke. And well, anyway, would just anger me when I seen garbage on the side of the freeway and all them piss bottles. And of course, I knew, and I gave them all respect, you know, of hitting their flashers so they can get over, and they do a double tap on their deal, and a lot of miracles. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but thank you, Diamond and Silk, Hex, and even Joe Embriano. I always knew, even though, you know, they were ribbing him, always ribbing him, you know, back then. You know, you got to consider the source. There was always these certain ones, you know. But look, it's in here. It's in your eyes. It's in there. You got to look. Once you are around the real thing, and you got them spiritual Baigano goggles. When you got those big old thick spiritual goggles, and you, so yeah, I will pick up tomorrow in Ely, Minnesota, the old Minnesota. She'd always go, quit. I'd mess with him. She'd go, quit now. I go, man, where are you from? Minnesota? I said, oh, honey, I've been trying to get her to get a hold of me on Facebook. Like I said, she got a hold of me after years of trying to find her. Look, your son. I didn't want him to think she just ran out on him. I mean, I stole him from her, but I don't want to. Of course, I mean, I did it, but I just, yeah, I don't want to go into detail. I'll tell you about the whole story if you just stick it out with me. If you just stick it out. All right, people. Like I said, It's best. I can see we're not letting our meatloaf. However, if you do, it's okay. Come as you are. We're just hoping you leave. Like I said, you'll get a different answer if you ask me how I feel 5 minutes before I've started, opposed to 5 minutes after I ended. Same thing with the push-ups. You just got to get yourself motivated, right? You got to get that fluent. You got to flow, become the vessel. So, love you guys. God bless. I moved my camera up a little bit higher. Got a little bit of sun peeking through today, but it was good spending time with you, Tor. Love you, Millie. And just know you're always in my prayers. I'm always praying. Oh, and they threw me a curveball. I got a bunch of pairs of glasses here. I got to get my contacts from an actual private optical, because it's sad but true, and I'm just gonna tell you. Oh yeah. They always try. They're always up to something. Just another little. I'll tell you when I actually see about that, when I gotta get my haircut too. But they just give me a bad prescription. Bad prescription. I get a copy of the prescription, go take it to somebody when I get out, and they go, "Well, I just did your eye test, and this prescription here matches your glasses and the paper here that they used to grind these out, but they're way off. And your eyes couldn't have changed that much." And I go, "Well, here, check these out. I got 3 more pair I'm going to show you." And he goes, "They're all different." And I said, "Yeah, right." Do you see what I'm saying, man? Anything. They'll do anything. So be cautious and pray. Remember Rosemary's Baby. Remember her? Remember Rosemary? Remember the lovely doctor? It was her doctor. Her OBGYN. Now, I'm not trying to get you paranoid. That's not what this is about. But they had no problem just giving birth in pools. Now we've got all these complications. You know why? You know why? All this stuff they want to help you with. You know why? Huh? And Uncle Sam isn't going to give you the answer. Huh? Dilbert? It's from the 3rd and 4th generation. It's greed. It's all toxins. It's all because of the love of money. It's greed. The same thing that got Lucifer booted out of the upper level. So, I love you guys. And we shall pick up where we left off. God bless. And I'm praying. I love you, Melly. And I'm praying every day. And it's just really nice knowing you. It's been nice knowing you. It's just like, it's like a new thing every day. So thank you. And thank you, Tor. I appreciate you, Tori, very much. And I know it's a hell of a ride. I know. So thank you. All right. I love you guys. Have a good day. God bless.